Sri Gurubhyo Namaha children, you are welcome for online class Ekalaiva. And see children, I hope you are all hale and healthy. First part of the supplementary reader of the first unit of 11th standard class, we saw that after 20 years. So here we saw the first part. In the first part we saw that Bob and Jimmy's friend, they were friends and they happened to meet 20 years back in a restaurant, and they promised each other that the same time after 20 years they will be meeting if they are alive, whatever the situation and condition, wherever the distance they were, and they were just over 20 years, and the person from west who went, he was just coming and he is waiting for Jimmy to come there, and he gave, it was exactly 10 o'clock and now he waits for 10 minutes. Let us see whether the person comes there at the appointed time or not. We will see. You bet I hope Jimmy has done half as well. He was a kind of plodder though. So he was telling that he was a very kind person and he was a truthful person. My friend is very truthful, honest, kind. So really he will be coming. So that was the situation and he was making it, and let us see whether he is coming or not. Good fellow. So you see the words from the friend. He is truthful, honest, good. Yes, good fellow as he was. I have had to compete with some of the sharpest wits going to get my pile. A man gets in the groove in New York. It takes the West to put a razor edge on him. So here he says that I went to West, I have lot type of works, piles of works to be completed, and it makes me, a man gets in a groove in New York. So that is groove in New York. So it takes the West to put razor edge on him. Razor edge means a sharp edge for him, and I have lot of work. The policeman twirled his club and took a step or two. So here the policeman twirled his club and he took a step or two and he was moving. I will be on my way. Hope your friend comes around all right. Going to call him on him sharp. So now the policeman says that I am on my work. I hope your friend comes around all right. Your friend will be coming all right. Going to call time on him sharp. So going to call on him time. So call him on time. So he is saying on him sharp. I should say not, said the other. I will give him half an hour at least. If Jimmy is alive on earth, he will be here by that time. So long, officer. So he says that I will give another half an hour for my best friend and he will be alive in any way. Surely he will be coming here. So I will be waiting for him for another half an hour, he says. So long, officer. Good night, sir, said the policeman, passing on along his beat, trying doors as he went. There was no fine cold drizzle falling, and the wind had risen from its uncertain puffs into the steady blow. The few foot passengers, asters in the quarter, hurried dismally and silently along with coat collar, turned high and pocketed and in the door of the hardware. So he was just standing in the hardware shop and he was waiting half an hour. He gave another half an hour for his friend and he is waiting there and he is longing that he thinks that he will be coming. So here the few foot passengers stays in that quarter hurried dismayed in that place, and a few person were going in their coat collar turned high and pocketed hands. He was just putting hands in the pocket and in the door of the hardware. The man who had come 1,000 miles to fill an appointment, uncertain, almost absurdity, with a friend of his youth, smoked a cigar and waited. About 20 minutes he waited, and then, so here he was given half an hour and he was waiting, and you know that in a young age he promised with his cigar and waited, smoked a cigar and waited there for his friend whom in youth he had promised and given an appointment. About 20 minutes he waited, and then a tall man in a long overcoat with a collar turned up to his ears hurried across from the opposite side of the street. He went directly to the waiting man. So there was a tall man in the opposite and he was just rushing and running and turned his collar up to his ears. He turned his collar, you know that the collar will be folded, and here he turned his collar up to his fold because of the chillness, and hurried across from the opposite side of the street. He went directly to the waiting man. So directly he went to the waiting man. Is that you, Bob? He asked doubtfully. So he was asking, is that you, Bob? Doubtfully. Is that you, Jimmy Wells? Cried the men in the door. So he was asking, are you Bob? Then the person is asking, are you? Is that you, Jimmy Wells? Cried the man in the door. Bless ye my heart, exclaimed the new arrival. So after 20 minutes, it's not, he gave half an hour, but in 20 minutes, the tall person came and he crossed the road and came near to him, and he was asking, is that you, Jimmy Wells? Are you Jimmy Wells? He was asking. Cried the man in the door. Bless my heart, exclaimed the new arrival, grasping both the other's hands with his own. It's Bob, sure as fate. I was certain I would find you here if you were still in existence. Well, 20 years is a long time. The old restaurant gone, Bob. I wish it had lasted so we could have another dinner there. How the West treated you, old man. So he was asking, see, another 20 minutes, a tall man came and he was asking whether he is Jimmy, and he says that yes, and he asked whether he is Bob. He accepted yes, and he was asking, are you Jimmy Wells? He says yes, and they were just talking, and while talking he says that if 5 years before the restaurant had been demolished from here, otherwise we would have had another dinner here, he was saying. Okay, bully. So he is saying, how has the West treated you? How the West treated you? Old man, bully. It has given me everything I asked it for. You have changed lots, Jimmy. I never thought you were so tall by 2 or 3 inches. So now he is saying that, he's saying that, bully, it has given me everything whatever I asked, and you have changed lots. You have changed lots. And Jimmy, you are not so much tall. Now we have happened to see you have grown a lot. Oh, I grew a bit after I was 20. So he's saying then after 20 I have just grown a bit. Doing well in New York, Jimmy. Moderately, I have a position in one of the city departments. Come on, Bob, we'll go round to a place I know of and have a good long talk about old times. So now he's saying moderately. So doing well in New York, Jimmy says, and he was saying moderately. I have a position in one of the city department. So I have a position in one of the city department. Come on, Bob, we all go round to the place. We'll go round to the place I know of and have a good long talk about old times. We'll talk about the old times, just come. They were both walking. The two men started up the street, arm in arm. The man from the West, his egotism, enlarged by success, was beginning to outline the history of his. So here what happens? So it happens that the two men started walking the street arm in arm. So they were just putting a hand by hand, one each other, and they were just walking on the thing. And the West, his egotism enlarged by success, was beginning to the outline of the history of his. So when he was asked whether he was successful, it tells that he was a successful person, and that egotism told what all he had done and how he had got money and how he became rich, all the things he was telling about his career. The other, submerged in his overcoat, listened with interest. At the corner stood a drugstore, brilliant with electric lights. So he was telling about his career, his life, and how the West treated him, and how he become a successful person, how he become so rich. He was just explaining everything, and quite with the overcoat he was listening and coming along. At the corner stood a drugstore. So there was in the corner there was a drugstore, brilliant with the electric light. It was with the electric light. When they came into the glare, each of them turned simultaneously to gaze upon the other's face. The man from the West stopped suddenly and released his arm. So there was in the corner, there was chemical store, that is a drug store, and brilliant with electric light. The light was very bright there, and when they came into that glare to that place, each of them turned simultaneously. They turned each and saw each other's face. When they are looking at each other's face, what happened? To gaze upon the other's face, the man from the west stopped suddenly and released his hand. He stopped suddenly and taken the hand from him. So time cannot see the thing. He is taking his hand from the thing. So your time cannot change a man's nose from Roman to pug. So he is telling that time cannot change a man's nose from Roman to pug. So here time will not change the nose, the feature of the nose. You can grow tall or fat or like that, but the nose will not be changed. You are not Jimmy Wells. He snapped. 20 years is a long time, but not a long enough to change a man's nose from Roman to pug. So he saw the nose, the shape of the nose was different, and he find that it was not Jimmy Wells and it was somebody. And he says that 20 years may be a long years, but you cannot alter a nose from Roman nose to a pug. So here you know that a round shaped nose, a flat nose, and sometimes you will be having very sharp nose. So here he was having a Roman to a pug, from a Roman to a pug. It sometimes changes a good man into a bad one. So he says that it sometimes changes a good man into a bad man. So 20 years time will change a good person into a bad person. Okay, said the tall man. You have been under arrest for 10 minutes. So before 10 minutes you are under arrest. Silky Bob. Silky Bob means you are a silky, you know how silky. You will be escaping from some silk, means it will not be in some place. It will be just changing his shape and other things. So like that he is giving name for him. Silky Bob. You are so escaping from 20 years. Now you got caught. Chicago thinks you may have dropped over or way and wires us. She wants to have a chat with you. So now he says that Chicago thinks you may have dropped over or way and wires us. She wants to have a chat with you, going quietly or you. That's sensible. Now before we go on to the station, here is a note I was asked to hand you. You may read it here at the window. It's from Patrolman Wells. So here he says that, see here there is a paper for you, a bit. Now you can't escape. 20 minutes before itself you were under arrest. You were a silky bob, you were escaping, and the Chicago was searching for you, and now it is time for you to be arrested for the wrong you have done. And this is a slip for you, then you can read for it for yourself. You may read it here at the window. It's from Patrolman Wells. So a Patrolman Wells. So he is in Jimmy Wells maybe. The man from the west unfolded the little piece of the paper handed to him. So a little piece was just given to him and handed over to him. His hand was steady when he began to read, but it trembled a little by the time he had finished. The note was rather short. So it was very short and it was trembling. His hands were trembling when he was just reading, seeing about that paper. Bob, I was the appointed place on time. When you struck the match to light your cigar, I saw it was the face of the man wanted in Chicago. Somehow I couldn't do it myself, so I went around and got a plainclothes man to do the job. So as a patrolman, as to keep my promise, I just came there for meet you to keep an appointment at the right place. But the light showed when you just lighten your cigar, your face shone, and that face was wanted list in the Chicago, and I am your best friend. I can't arrest you. So I sent a person who is in a plain cloth to arrest you. So here I went around and got a plainclothes man to do the job, to arrest you. So as a friend I can't do that. So I sent somebody to do it. So So it is very clear to you, it is very understandable to you children. So I believe that you understand the story. So even his friend cannot, you know, even your best friend is there, you cannot arrest him and you cannot do it. So as a friend, as a well-known person, so he was just calling another person to do the job. So he was honest. We can't say that he is not a true friend. True friend must be correcting. So he had missed all the 20 years. Okay, we'll see about the author and then again with the guest. Okay, O. Henry 1862 to 1910 is a popular American short story writer whose original name is William Sidney Porter. His works romanticized the life of ordinary people in New York City. His stories are well known throughout the world. They express the effect of confidence on character and often had unexpected twists in the end. His stories are almost noted for their witticism and clever wordplay. O. Henry's prolific writing period began in 1902 in New York City, where he wrote 381 short stories. He wrote one story a week for the New York World Sunday magazine for over a year. O. Henry's short story After 20 Years was first published in the Sunday edition of the New York World in 1905. The story was included in 1906 anthology The 4 Million and it has since been republished in many short stories collection. A few of his other popular short stories are Gift of Maggie, The Cop and the Anthem, The Dance of the Red Chief, Retrieved Reformation and The Third Ingredient. So these are the works of him, and here you understood the author was giving a twist in the end in most of the stories, short stories, and this short story is also given a twist that first the policeman whom he met was the right person and he was the person who had just made it, and he was the person who founded, that is Jimmy Wells, and he understood it as Bob, and as a friendship he doesn't want to do the job and he just went and sent a plaincloth person to do that. And children, if your friend is doing something, the moral you are learning from this is when a friend do something right, you will be appreciating. If he is doing wrong, it is your first and foremost duty to correct him and to guide him in a right path. As a good friend and a best friend, you will be correcting them, children. All the best for the lesson, and you be a good friend to everybody in the thing. So we will end up the class. We will meet you in the next class, children.